I'm speaking today in strong opposition to House Bill 2688. So, like my colleague there, even though I apparently spent my entire career doing what this bill calls bespoke work, I'd never even said that word until this year. It never appeared in any of our contracts, and I've never read about it in any trade journals. I spent my career in industry and manufacturing. I owned a control system integration firm, and a significant part of our business was building custom UL 508A electric control panels. This is precisely the kind of work that will be impacted by House Bill 2688, along with countless other Oregon manufacturers, both large and small. I know what it takes to keep a shop running. You're juggling bids, you're managing overhead, you're trying to keep your workers employed, trying to make payroll every couple of weeks, all while staying compliant with layers of evolving regulation. And when I read House Bill 2688, I didn't need a lobbyist to explain it, and I didn't need a policy memo. I've lived it. I know what this will do to Oregon manufacturers. My district includes two of Oregon's largest modular building manufacturers, Wilscott Mobile Mini, formerly Modern Building Systems, and Blazer Industries. These are homegrown Oregon companies, employing hundreds of people in the Willamette Valley, people with families, mortgages, and deep roots in our communities. They build modular classrooms, housing units, government buildings using efficient off-site construction in permanent, dedicated facilities. They are not outsourcing, they're not cutting corners, but if House Bill 2688 passes, they're about to get hit, and hard. Their internal estimates show that this bill will add $90,000 to a cost of a simple modular classroom. That's real money, and it leads to two outcomes. There's one of two things that'll happen. Either taxpayers will pay more for a public works project, or Oregon businesses will be priced out of those public contracts by out-of-state firms. I know on paper it says House Bill 2688 applies to out-of-state manufacturers too, but let's be frank, BOLI already struggles with enforcing Oregon law inside Oregon borders. Enforcing this thing across state lines, it'll be spotty at best. And the experience from other states with similar legislation confirms that. And while Oregon businesses absorb those higher costs, they're also asked to navigate a compliance nightmare. I want to give you a real-world example from my own shop floor. We'd often have more than 5 jobs running at the same time, but I'll keep it simple. Let's say I've got a set of electrical panels for a Portland Public Works in Multnomah County. I got a control panel for Roseburg Public Works in Douglas County, and I've got 3 private commercial builds. My team, the shop team, would float between projects during the day. One person might prep for Portland job at 9 a.m., then wire a private panel at 11, and then run quality checks on the Douglas job in the afternoon. How is a small business supposed to manage payroll under this bill? They'll need to track time down to the minute by project and county. They pay different prevailing wage rates for the same worker in the same day, in the same hour, submitting multiple certified payroll reports complete with fringe benefit accounting. You miss a time code, misclassify a task, they're on the hook for back wages and penalties. This isn't just hard, it's almost impossible for small manufacturers without compliance departments and full-time HR teams. It will choke out startups before they get a chance to grow. House Bill 2688, as I read it, also goes well beyond what other states have done, and this is where the problem is. Even California, which has one of the most aggressive prevailing wage systems in the country, does not apply their prevailing wage to off-site permanent manufacturing facilities. In California, there was a case, the Russ Will Mechanical case, where California's Department of Industrial Relations tried to apply prevailing wage to custom HVAC work done at a permanent factory. But they reversed course. The courts ruled that prevailing wages do not apply when fabrication is done at a permanent facility established independently of any public contract or public project. California's law only applies if the off-site work meets very specific conditions. such as being tied to a temporary project-specific workshop. This is really important, a really important distinction. Oregon's House Bill 2688 ignores that lesson. It applies not just to temporary project workshops, but also permanent manufacturing facilities, like my UL 508 shop, like Wilcott, like Blazer. That's a bridge even California refused to cross, but here we are in Oregon. So it begs the question, am I wrong on what the manufacturers this bill covers? Is it really intended to cover permanent manufacturing facilities? The bill leaves this discretion to BOLI to determine what manufacturers are covered. So I'd love it if the sponsors of the bill would answer this question. Are we going to do this like California, covering only temporary off-site shops, or will we apply a new broad standard covering all permanent manufacturers? Now I want to address a claim that's been made on this floor, that when workers are subject to prevailing wage, their work is somehow better. That's the argument I heard. Prevailing wage means higher quality. Let me tell you what that really says. You're telling my workers in my old shop and the shops like Wilcott and Blazer that their work is inferior simply because they're not under a union contract. That is insulting, and it's completely wrong. The quality of your work doesn't come from a wage table. It comes from skill, pride, training, and ownership. The idea that someone isn't a quality worker unless they're under a prevailing wage regime is laughable. And the folks I worked with would tell you that. And offensive to the thousands of Oregon workers who choose to work for family-owned businesses, non-union shops, or start their own companies. Some workers prefer a direct relationship with their employer. Some value flexibility. Some want to grow into supervisory or management roles without navigating union politics. They are just as committed, just as skilled, and just as valuable to our economy. And this bill tells them they don't measure up. We all support fair wages. We all support Oregon workers. But House Bill 2688 doesn't protect workers. It disadvantages employers who follow the rules and leaves loopholes for those who don't. It forces rural manufacturers to pay urban wage rates, while out-of-state firms will undoubtedly slip through the cracks. This isn't a wage bill, it's a compliance trap. Large firms can afford to comply, and out-of-state firms can ignore it. So colleagues, I urge you to think about the small shops, the young entrepreneurs, the Oregon companies trying to stay in business while building our schools and housing. Don't bury them in paperwork and penalties. Don't make them less competitive in their very own state. And don't make it harder to build the very classrooms and homes we say we need. Please vote no on House Bill 2688. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative.